Well, hello there and welcome back to another tutorial right here on Pageant Planet. My name is Deidre Murphy, and not only am I a contributor right here on Pageant Planet, but I'm also a personal fashion stylist with Style by Deidre. So check out my website, stylebydeidre.com, where I'd be happy to go more in depth with these types of questions with you, specifically one-on-one. But today we are talking about one of my favorite topics, false lashes, specifically strip lashes, and how to pick the best false lashes for your particular eye shape. So first, before we dive into it, I'm going to talk about 3 different types of lashes that are pretty predominant out there, whether you're shopping at Ulta or your local Walgreens for your lashes. Then we're going to go into 5 different types of eye shapes, and I'm going to give my best recommendations for each type of eye shape. Now, granted, keep in mind you might be a combination of one or more types of eye shapes, so you can play around with this. Play around with my recommendations. If I say, a certain shape for one certain type of eye, but you're also a combination with another one, try maybe a mix of lashes that incorporate both of those styles. So don't be afraid to play around. Try some different shapes out on your eyelashes and see what you like best. So let's get ready to dive into today's tutorial. Okay, the first type of lash shape you're going to see is what I would like to call a tapered or a flare. And these are the ones that are going to have a little bit of a longer lash on the outside corners as compared to the inner. Now you can find these in lots of different lengths, but that's the typical thing you're going to look for. And so I grabbed a couple different examples. It can be everything like this shape right here, which is really subtle in its flare out on the end, to something like this eyelash, which is very dramatic, very flared out on the ends, and it's going to create that dramatic cat eye. So this particular one even has a double layer on the outside corners as well, just to create even more of an elongation on the outer corners of the eye and help bring that lift to the edges of the eye, or create that kind of vintage cat eye flare that you might be going towards. This one is by Reese Robert Beauty, and it is an actual 100% mink lash. And then this one, I can't remember the name of the company because I bought them in a bulk set, but I found them at Ulta, and these are a synthetic fiber lash as well. So that's shape number 1. The second type of shape you'll probably see with lashes is what I would like to call a round shape. Now, to tell if an eyelash strip is round, if you were to fold it in half, it would be the same length on each corner or outer corner, and it would roughly start out with some shorter lashes, fan out to one particular length in the middle, and then taper back in to be an equal length on the outside corner. So with these as well, you can do a lot of different things with them. I'm actually wearing my one and only pair of round lashes right now, and these are by Red Aspen. They are called the Miss style of lashes, and I have fallen in love with them. A friend of mine actually reps this company. She sent me this pair to try out, and they are just really lightweight, really easy to wear, and the strip itself stays put, and it's easy to apply the glue onto and then actually put onto my eyes. So this is more of a round pair. I like to wear the round ones on my eyes when I'm doing day-to-day appearances or even just date night. That way I don't feel super cat eye or vintage, but it just helps open up my eyes and feel a little bit more glam for whatever I'm doing, especially at nighttime. I did grab another set that's kind of a similar shape. It's not quite as round or clearly as round. These ones are by Red Cherry. And again, you can kind of see how it starts out one length, gets to an extension, and then kind of tapers back down. And if I were to fold these in half, it would roughly be the same length from end to end. Again, these ones are by Red Cherry, another great brand of lashes. However, Red Cherry is all 100% human hair. So if that's something that you would find offensive or you don't want to be wearing that, then I wouldn't go with Red Cherry lashes. But the Red Aspen, again, different brand. This is called the Miss style. These are actually worn by many pageant women. Actually, Miss New York, who just won Miss America a couple months ago, was actually wearing a pair of Red Aspen lashes. And then here in my home state of Washington State, our current Miss Washington for the Miss America organization also loves her Red Aspen eyelashes as well. So that's one of my favorite brands if you want to check those guys out as well. My last type of lash is what I'm going to call a wispy, And there's lots of different lengths in wispy lashes, everything from demi-lengths, which are kind of the shorter ones that just go on the outer corners of your eyes, to a full lash strip. But a wispy is those lash strips that have the little clusters, and it kind of creates that fluttery effect whenever you're opening and closing your eyes. It's very feminine, flirty, like I said. So I grabbed a pair of my favorite wispy lashes just by Ardell. And again, you can kind of tell how there's different little clusters at the bottom. And then even with the wispies as well, you might find them kind of crisscrossed from the base. And again, that just helps create more of that wispy, flared out effect. This particular one is a demi wispy, so it's only going to start about 3/4 of the way and then open up. And this is more of that flared lash as well. So those are our 3 shapes of lashes. Again, they were flared, or like a cat eye, round, and then wispy. So now we're going to dive into the 5 different types of eyes so I can make my best recommendation for each eye shape. My first eye shape is what I'm going to call a deep set eye, and it is exactly how it is described. So the eye socket is literally set deep within the actual facial structure, and usually these women have a more prominent brow bone. So because the eye is deeper set within the facial structure, I would highly recommend not only a rounder full set of lashes, but very full, so that way you get that really dramatic effect to open up your eyes, especially if you're competing on stage in your upcoming pageant. And I would also recommend them to be quite a bit longer than you would actually expect, because you want the eye to really open up and elongate and come forward. I would recommend that round shape, really dense and full, dramatic eyelashes that are going to come up and out and help open up your eye, so that way you don't have the deep setness and it brings your eyes beautiful and forward. Just one more little tip when it comes to a deep set eye. You might have a round eye shape or an almond eye shape within that deep set. So you can also choose a cat eye if you want to add to that drama and even elongate and kind of flare up the edges of your eyes. So don't be afraid to try out a flared style on your eyes as well if you have a deep set eye. My next shape is what I would call a hooded eye. So with this particular shape, what happens is the eyelid itself kind of comes over and droops over the crease and may even touch the lash line. Now, depending on the shape of your eye, whether you have a round eye or more of an elongated almond eye, you can choose to go either way with either a round style of lash or even a flared style of lash or even that wispy style as well. But it just depends on what type of impact you're trying to create. But I would always, always, always recommend not only length, but also volume. High length, high volume to create the most impact and really open up your eye, because you want to create the shape that you desire for your overall appearance with your eye shape. Now, granted, if you have more of a rounded eye, you might want to use a round lash to help, again, just open up the eye even more. But you could still do a flared cat eye false lash to help create more drama and help elongate the edges of your eyes rather than just being fully circular and round. But by the same token, if you have more of an almond shaped eye and you really want to help create that drama and open it up, then I would recommend a heavily dense, full length volume, rounded shape lash for those hooded eyes. The next shape of eye is what I would call a monolid eye. So with this style of eye shape, there's not a clear defined crease behind the eyelash line. And so a lot of times these eyes don't need a lot of creasing eyeshadow or that heavily intense smoky eye. So they get to use lashes that are really dense, really full, and even really dramatic to help open up their eye and create the look that they want, whether it's on stage or going into an interview room. So because this particular eye shape doesn't have a lot of a crease line to it, I would highly recommend a rounded style of lash that again has a little bit more drama and length than the typical eyelash or strip of eyelashes. Again, it will help open up and really bring that eye forward to whoever is looking at you, whether it's the client yourself, like looking at the mirror, looking at yourself and seeing how your eyes are opening up, or it's a judge looking at you on stage or in the interview room. I would highly, highly recommend a round style of lash for the monolid style. Just one more little note on the monolid style of eye. I would also recommend you can do a wispy flared out lash if you want, But I would even highly recommend a wispy round shape to again just create more of that natural appearance, especially if your natural lashes are a little bit short in nature or straight. If you do a wispy rounded shape, it's really going to help open up your eyes and bring them forward so we can see your beautiful soul within your eyes. My next eye shape is what I would call a round shape. So obviously this is more of a spherical shape, clearly round. You might think of this eye shape as that doll shape. You remember those ones that when you would tip them over, their eyes would close and then they would pop open? So this is it's actually not a very common eye shape, but these shapes of eyes can get away with either style of lash. So depending on what you want to do with your eyes, maybe you feel like your eyes are already round and wide and big and open enough. So play with a flared lash that has more of that elongation, side swept flare out on the ends to help create more of that cat eye if you want. Or on the other end, maybe you have eyes and they're still round, but you want to open them up even more and really play up that feature on your face. Then use a really dramatic round style lash where it's going to have that evenly placed length of lashes all throughout, and then really make sure that it's got that dense, full sweeping lash, comes up and curls up, especially if you're going to be on stage. But luckily for you, if you have a round style of eye, you can go either way, and even maybe play with just some of the wispy styles of lashes. So again, I prefer a wispy style that has the crisscrosses at the base of the lash to just create that more natural look to it. And again, if you use a round style wispy, it's really going to help bring that shape forward, up and out. Or you could even try a flared cat eye style of wispy lash as well. One of my favorites is actually by Ardell, and it is just their demi wispy kind of flared out cat eye. Maybe try something like that, or even a brand called Eyelure, and it's spelled Eyelure. I find those at Ulta, and they have a little bit more of a luxury feel to them because they're a faux mink style of lash. Something like that will really not only feel lightweight while you're wearing it, but also help really open up your eyes even more or elongate the edges and create the look that you want with your eye shape. My last eye shape is what we would call an almond shape. So with this style of eye, it's a little bit more common. It's going to taper in the inner corner, open up a little bit, and then it's going to usually taper back out and even have a subtle lift on the outer corners. Now with this shape as well, you get to play around with your eyelash strip selection. You can do anything from a round to a flared to a more wispy style or even just a really natural style depending on what you're doing. Now obviously if you're going into a pageant and you're going on stage, you're probably going to want some major impact for your eyes. So no matter what, I would choose a really heavily dense and long dramatic eyelash for an almond eye. And then with this shape too, you can play around with what you want to create on your overall face shape. So perhaps you have an almond eye and you really want to open it up more, create more of that doll-like effect and create more of that rounded look. Then use a round shape that's going to have the longest lashes right in the center of the eye to help bring them forward, open them up, and really have a great impact for your overall features. Or perhaps you want to have more of a tapered cat eye look, then definitely choose something with the longest edges being on the outer corner of the lengths of the eyelashes and really help kind of play up, even using a winged eyeliner or kind of an outer smoky eye to again create that lift on the outer corners if you want that look for your competition as well. You could even try a wispy style lash like we've already talked about. Really with the almond shape, it's just about what you want to create. And if you're going into the pageant world, I would definitely recommend using drama and impact so that way your eyes don't get lost under the heavy stage lights. If you're going into an interview room with this shape of eye, again, you can do either way with the style of your lashes, but I would just tone it back just a touch and maybe choose a wispy or a more natural lash strip so that way you're not overpowering your judges when you meet with them one-on-one. As you're making your selections for your eyelashes, don't be afraid to try out different shapes. Maybe try a variety pack from a place like Ulta and try out a cat eye, try a round shape, try a wispy, try a demi-wispy. See how the different shapes have different impacts on your overall appearance and figure out what you feel best in. Maybe try a few, take some photos, look at your phone and say, hey, I like the way my eyes look in this picture better than this picture, and really feel out what you feel the most comfortable in. I do have some other little tips when it comes to actually applying your lashes. Number one, always cut them down. I know it's kind of a bummer to get these beautiful long lashes that are all dense and full and then have to cut them off, but you do want to shape them to your actual eye length. I wouldn't recommend going actually all the way out to the full corner of both ends of your eye. So you would want it to be a little bit shorter on the inner side as well as the outer corner as well. And when you are choosing which end to cut from, always cut from the longest end if they are tapered. So that way you can easily maneuver where the shorter ends are going to start, because that's where it's going to blend in a little bit better with your natural lash line. So yeah, I know as not fun as it is to cut off the longest pieces, that's where you'd want to kind of clip it a little bit, place it on your eye, see how it looks before you actually glue it down. If you need to trim it a little bit more, trim again from that outer corner and then set. If you have a rounded shape where, again, remember it's the same length on either end, you would just kind of take from either side as you get going to make sure you can really create the ideal length for your particular eyes. My next little tip for applying your actual lashes is to put your glue onto the lash strip and let it sit for about 30 seconds. Let it get slightly tacky to the touch before you actually try to apply it. And then once you've actually applied it, rather than putting it all the way to the base of your actual eyelid, bring it out just a touch so it's kind of sitting on top of your natural lashes rather than set back actually sitting on your lid. I just learned this trick about a month ago, and what happens is when you actually set it just a touch further forward on top of your actual lashes, not only is it going to feel a little bit lighter in weight, but it's also going to look more natural, so it looks like that length and that volume is really just coming out from your normal eyelid. And then on top of that, once you've placed them and they're a little bit tacky, once the glue is almost set, take either your fingers or even a set of tweezers and basically clamp or pinch your real lashes to the actual strip lashes. And again, it's going to help embed them together, kind of create a woven effect, and it's going to make them look a little bit more natural. I know we're talking about false lashes here, but nobody wants to look like they're actually wearing false lashes, right? You want to look as natural as possible. So that's my last little tip when it comes to actually applying the lashes. I hope you've learned so much when it comes to not only picking the right lashes for your eye shape, but how to apply them, what to look for when you're wearing your particular set of eyelashes. And I want to hear from you. Are these tips making sense? Are you learning about your eye shape? Leave them in the comments below because I would love to reach out and connect with you one-on-one. Speaking of that, if you want to connect with me one-on-one, I work with clients near and far all over the world to help them prep for their next pageant, whether it's with makeup tips or walking or technique or even interview. So head over to my website, stylebydeidre.com, connect with me right there. And while you're at it, head to pageantplanet.com, create your own profile there today. It's completely free and it allows you to start connecting with not only makeup artists, but maybe a personal trainer or photographers, other experts, or even find your dream gown right here from the comfort of your own home. All you have to do is head to pageantplanet.com, create your free profile today, and get going with connecting with leading industry elites. We'll see you there on the inside of pageantplanet.com. Mwah!